You feel that familiar surge of dissatisfaction, a low hum of irritation, or perhaps a full-blown internal monologue of grievances. The day hasn't even fully begun, and already a stream of complaints about the traffic, the weather, an unexpected email, or an unfinished task is forming. This isn't just a thought, it's a physiological event. Your nervous system, specifically the amygdala, your brain's ancient threat detector, is already priming for stress. It doesn't distinguish between a saber-toothed tiger and a traffic jam. It simply registers problem and floods your system with cortisol and adrenaline. This chemical cascade creates a state of low-grade chronic agitation, trapping you in a complaining spiral. This spiral is more than a bad mood, it's a deeply grooved neural pathway. Each time you complain, you strengthen this connection, making it the brain's default response to any friction. It becomes easier and faster to find fault than to find a solution. Your focus narrows, your problem-solving capacity diminishes, and your energy is systematically drained by this internal friction. You are, in essence, rehearsing helplessness. You're teaching your brain that the appropriate response to a challenge is to voice displeasure, which provides a fleeting, hollow sense of validation, but solves nothing and leaves you feeling more powerless than before. This cycle is insidious because it feels justified. The coffee too cold, the meeting pointless. But the Stoic is not concerned with the external trigger. They are concerned with the internal response, for that is the only domain where true power lies. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor who dealt with plague, war, and constant betrayal, understood this mental trap with profound clarity. He knew that the quality of his thoughts determined the quality of his life, regardless of the empire's state. He didn't just advocate for a passive acceptance of hardship. He practiced a radical and active mental alchemy he called gratitude inversion. This Stoic principle, a recurring theme throughout his private journal, the Tacitus, is perfectly encapsulated in his powerful maxim. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This is not a platitude, it is a direct command to your mind. It instructs you to see the obstacle not as a barrier to your path, but as the path itself. The difficult colleague isn't an obstacle to a peaceful workday. They are the training ground for your patience and communication skills. The tedious project isn't a barrier to more exciting work. It is the arena in which you forge discipline and attention to detail. This perspective shift is a fundamental re-engineering of your relationship with reality. It moves you from the position of a victim to whom things happen to the position of a student for whom things happen. This is the essence of Stoic agency, recognizing that while you cannot control external events, you have absolute sovereignty over your interpretation of those events, and in that interpretation lies your freedom. To apply this ancient wisdom in a modern context, you can use the gratitude inversion exercise as a cognitive behavioral tool. The moment you catch the complaint forming on your lips or in your mind, you must pause. This pause is critical. It's a neurochemical circuit breaker. It interrupts the automatic amygdala-driven reaction and allows your prefrontal cortex, the seat of rational thought and executive function, to come online. In that pause, identify the specific object of your complaint. Be precise. Not, my job is annoying, but this specific report is tedious and repetitive. Once you have clarity, ask yourself one of three transformative questions. First, what virtue can I practice here? This question reframes the situation from a problem to a training opportunity. The tedious report becomes a chance to practice diligence. A rude comment from a stranger becomes a chance to practice forbearance. Second, what lesson is this presenting? This reframes the situation from a punishment to an education. A failed project becomes a masterclass in strategy and resilience. A misunderstanding with a partner becomes a lesson in clearer communication. Third, and perhaps most potent in the moment, what would be worse than this current situation? This is not about invalidating your frustration, but about contextualizing it. Complaining about slow Wi-Fi? Consider having no internet access at all. Frustrated with a minor inconvenience? Remember a time of genuine crisis. This technique, known in CBT as cognitive restructuring, actively challenges and replaces automatic negative thoughts. This deliberate reframing is a powerful mental hack. It's not about pretending to be happy, it's about choosing a more useful and empowering perspective. This immediate shift from a reactive to a proactive mindset is reflected in your physiology, leading to a measurable drop in cortisol levels. Your do today instruction is to become a vigilant gatekeeper of your mind. Treat your mind like a citadel, as the Stoics advised, and guard its gates against the invading army of complaints. For the rest of today, commit to implementing the gratitude inversion the very instant you detect a complaint. Don't wait for it to take root, catch it at the seed. When your colleague interrupts you, your immediate thought might be complaint. Pause. Invert. This is an opportunity to practice patience and setting boundaries calmly. When you get stuck in traffic, the complaint is automatic. Pause. Invert. This is unexpected time to listen to a podcast I enjoy, or to simply practice being still. This is not about achieving perfection. You will fail. The habit is strong. The goal is not to never complain again, but to shorten the gap between the trigger and your conscious, stoic response. Each time you successfully invert a complaint, you are performing a single rep of a mental exercise. You are laying down a new neural pathway. You are casting a vote for a different version of yourself. The immediate payoff is a palpable shift in your emotional state, a release of tension, a return of clarity. The long-term payoff is profound, a resilient mind that defaults not to frustration, but to opportunity. This is not forced positivity. It is the highest form of mental discipline and the direct path to reclaiming your inner peace. What is the very first complaint you can invert today? You successfully paused and inverted the complaint. You've transformed the internal narrative from "this is a problem" to "this is an opportunity to practice virtue." But a question naturally follows this mental shift. What now? The feeling of frustration may have subsided, replaced by a flicker of agency. But the external situation, the difficult project, the frustrating person, the inconvenient circumstance, still remains. Simply reframing the problem without taking appropriate action can lead to a state of passive acceptance, which is not the Stoic goal. The goal is not placidity. It is effective, virtuous action. This is where the second pillar of Stoic practice becomes essential. From the practice of gratitude inversion follows the rigorous application of the dichotomy of control, a principle most famously articulated by the freed slave and Stoic philosopher Epictetus. He stated it with stark simplicity. Some things are within our power, while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power are our body, our property, our reputation, our office, and, in a word, whatever is not of our own doing. This isn't just a philosophical idea. It is a diagnostic tool for the soul, a clarifying filter for a noisy world. It is the framework that allows you to move from a reframed perspective into intelligent, targeted action, preventing you from wasting a single drop of energy on things you cannot change. Continuing with the trigger you inverted, your next step is to run it through this powerful filter. Take the situation you are complaining about and perform what we can call the 3 circles of control audit. Draw 3 concentric circles in your mind or on a piece of paper. The innermost circle is labeled fully within my control. The middle circle is partially within my control, and the outermost circle is not within my control. Now dissect the situation. Let's use the example of a demanding boss who just assigned you an unreasonable deadline. The automatic reaction is to complain about the boss, the company, the deadline. You've already inverted this to, "This is an opportunity to practice diligence and clear communication." Now apply the circles. In the not within my control circle go the boss's personality, their mood, their management style, and the ultimate deadline they have set.
Wasting energy wishing these things were different is, as Seneca would say, to suffer what is not yet necessary and to suffer what is not at all necessary. In the partially within my control circle, you might place the negotiation of the deadline or the management of your boss's expectations. You can influence these things, but the final outcome is not guaranteed because it depends on another person. Finally, and most importantly, in the fully within my control circle, you place your response, your attitude, the quality of the work you produce within the given constraints, how you organize your time, whether you communicate your concerns clearly and professionally, whether you ask for help. This is your domain. This is where your power lies. This mental sorting exercise has a profound effect on your nervous system. The state of anxiety and complaint is often fueled by a feeling of being overwhelmed and powerless. Your brain perceives a single, monolithic, uncontrollable problem. By breaking the situation down and identifying the specific elements you control, you provide your brain with a concrete plan of action. Modern neuroscience confirms this. When the prefrontal cortex is engaged in planning and problem-solving, it sends inhibitory signals to the amygdala, calming the body's stress response. One study demonstrated that the mere act of making a plan to address a stressor can significantly reduce cortisol and anxiety levels even before you take the first step. Your anxiety, which was a diffuse, paralyzing fog, transitions into mobilized, directed focus. You are no longer a victim of the deadline. You are an architect of your response to it. The psychological payoff is immense. You experience a surge of agency. The energy you were previously expending on useless rumination and complaint is now liberated and can be channeled into productive, virtuous action. You stop fighting reality and start working with it. This is the essence of Stoic tranquility, or not an absence of feeling, but a state of mind unburdened by the disturbances that come from fighting the uncontrollable. Your do-today instruction is to take the very situation you applied the gratitude inversion to and immediately follow it with the 3 circles of control audit. Do not let the reframed thought simply hang in the air. Anchor it with a plan. If your complaint was about a messy house, what is not in your control? Other people's habits. What is partially in your control? Asking them to help, setting a new standard together. What is fully in your control? Cleaning your own space, dedicating 15 minutes to tidying the common area, your own state of mind while doing so. Once you've sorted the elements, your final task is to identify one single small action you can take right now that lies in your innermost circle. Not tomorrow, now. Send the clarifying email. Tidy one surface. Go for a 5-minute walk to clear your head. This micro-action is a declaration of your sovereignty. It proves to your brain that you are in charge, not your circumstances. By consistently shifting from complaint to inversion to a clear-eyed assessment of control and finally to deliberate action, you are not just managing stress, you are forging an unbreakable character. You are building the citadel of your mind brick by deliberate brick. How does this shift from passive reframing to active sorting change the way the problem feels in your body?
From that practice follows the crucial final question. How do you make this your new default state? You've learned to interrupt a complaint with gratitude inversion, and you've channeled that new perspective into focused action using the dichotomy of control. These are powerful in-the-moment tools. But Stoicism is not about occasional acts of mental fortitude. It is about building an enduring character, a resilient internal architecture that stands firm by default. The next step amplifies the result by transforming a conscious, effortful practice into an unconscious, automatic habit. This requires a deliberate process of reflection and reinforcement. Without this final piece, your efforts are like writing in the sand, easily washed away by the next tide of stress or fatigue. To carve these new pathways into the granite of your mind, we turn to the wisdom of Seneca, who championed the practice of a nightly philosophical audit. He believed that the unexamined day was a wasted day, a lost opportunity for growth. This isn't about self-criticism or judgment. It is about learning, calibration, and intentional self-development. It is the process that wires the Stoic mindset into your very being, ensuring that tomorrow you are slightly stronger, slightly wiser, and slightly calmer than you were today. To cement this new habit of crushing complaints, you will adopt a modernized version of Seneca's evening review. Before you go to sleep, set aside just 5 minutes with a notebook or journal. This ritual creates a powerful psychological boundary, closing the loop on the day and preventing the unresolved anxieties from bleeding into your sleep, which is critical for memory consolidation and emotional regulation. Poor sleep quality is directly linked to a hyperreactive amygdala the following day, making you more susceptible to stress and, you guessed it, complaining. This Stoic evening journal ritual directly combats that. Ask yourself 3 specific questions related to today's practice. First, where did I fall into the trap of complaining today? Be honest and specific, without judgment. Note the trigger, the time, the feeling. This is not to shame yourself, but to gather data. You are becoming a scientist of your own mind, identifying the patterns and vulnerabilities in your fortress. Was it when you were tired, hungry, dealing with a specific person? Awareness is the first step to change. Second, where did I successfully invert a complaint or apply the dichotomy of control? This is the most important question. Relive that moment of victory, no matter how small. Feel the sense of agency that came from it. This step is crucial for habit formation. According to the neuroscience of learning, celebrating small wins releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter that signals to your brain, "That was good. Do it again." You are actively rewarding the new neural pathway, making it more likely to fire automatically in the future. The third and final question is, what did I learn from both my failures and my successes? This question integrates the day's experiences into a cohesive lesson. Perhaps you learned that you are most likely to complain when you haven't eaten, so tomorrow's action is to pack a snack. Perhaps you learned that taking 3 deep breaths before responding to a frustrating email works wonders, so you will make that a standard practice. This process of reflection is a form of neuroplasticity in action. You are consciously directing the rewiring of your brain, pruning the connections that lead to complaint and strengthening the ones that lead to resilience and deliberate action. This is not merely a review, it is a rehearsal for a better tomorrow. You are priming your subconscious to recognize triggers more quickly and to deploy your Stoic tools more effectively. Over time, this practice compounds. The moments of mindless complaint become fewer and farther between. The pause between stimulus and response becomes wider and more natural. Your internal state becomes less dependent on the chaotic fluctuations of the external world. You are building what psychologists call a high internal locus of control, the unwavering belief that you are the primary architect of your life's quality. This leads to measurably lower anxiety scores, improved emotional regulation, and a profound, unshakable sense of inner peace. Your do today instruction is to commit to this 5-minute evening audit. Set an alarm on your phone. Put a notebook by your bed. Make the barrier to entry as low as possible. Answer the 3 questions. Where did I complain? Where did I succeed in not complaining? What did I learn? That's it. This simple ritual is the keystone that locks the entire practice into place. It transforms a good idea into a lived reality. It ensures that your journey toward a Stoic mindset is not a series of disconnected efforts, but a steady, cumulative progression. You are no longer just fighting fires. You are building a fireproof citadel. This gentle, unwavering discipline is the path to true freedom, the freedom from your own reactive, untrained mind. By taking these small, deliberate steps, inverting the thought, sorting your control, and auditing your day, you are engaging in the noblest of human endeavors, the conscious creation of your own character. You are becoming the Stoic sage of your own life.